Imagine a young Russian soldier guarding a fort in the 19th century Alaska. It is a spring of 1804. The day is cold, it is April, but everything is still frozen. Looking into the mist, a shape forms, a warrior stepping out from the fog. He is wearing an armor made of cedar wood and walrus hide, lashed with sinew, and studded with Chinese copper coins glistening like distant sparks. The young soldier squints to see better, but he is still unsure. He may be seeing a mythical creature or a mirage. The silhouette suggests a humanoid figure, but also a demon from Russian fables about distant lands. Yet this is not a fantasy. This is the silhouette of a Tlingit warrior. An 18th century Tlingit war leader was a walking tank, and bullets could not penetrate the wall made of hardened Sitka spruce, yellow cedar, and heavy sea lion hide. The Tlingit people, often called people of the tides, live along the rugged panhandle of southeast Alaska and inland into British Columbia and the Yukon Territory of Canada. Their homeland, Lingít Aaní, is a 600-mile stretch of islands and fjords where the Pacific meets dense temperate rainforest. And yes, you heard that right, Alaska has rainforests. With hubs like Sitka at its heart, the region's labyrinth of waterways acts as a natural highway between the mountains and the sea. It is a true cultural patchwork, densely woven. The Tlingit share historical and folkloric ties with their southern neighbors, the Haida and Tsimshian. Further south in the Alexander Archipelago, rich salmon runs once supported a highly mobile, seafaring way of life. This area eventually became the front line for European contact as the Russian-American Company and Hudson's Bay Company moved in for the fur trade. The resulting tension famously boiled over in the Battle of Sitka in 1804, a pivotal conflict where the Tlingit fiercely defended their ancestral lands against Russian expansion. It is in this Alaskan archipelago that the War Canoe enters the story. The Tlingit War Canoe was a masterpiece of engineering carved from the colossal trunks of the western red cedar. These vessels were not merely boats, but floating fortresses, with war canoes frequently exceeding 60 feet in length and some ceremonial giants reaching 80 feet. Canoe was crafted by splitting a single log and hollowing it with fire and an adze, a tool similar to an axe but with the blade turned sideways to shave and smooth the wood. The hulls were then steamed and expanded to achieve a sleek, shallow draft of less than 2 feet. This design allowed the canoes to glide silently over the shallow, intricate waterways of the Inside Passage, carrying crews of 40 to 50 warriors. The construction was a communal feat of immense skill, transforming the dense, aromatic cedar into a vessel capable of navigating the treacherous archipelago with the grace of a sea mammal. The canoe was designed for stealth and speed, its streamlined hull enabling silent approaches through the fog-shrouded islands where visibility was often limited. Propulsion was a synchronized effort, with paddlers seated in pairs along the gunwales, their rhythm dictated by the stern steerer. This commander, often a high-ranking chief, wielded a large steering paddle to direct the vessel's course with precision, acting as the tactical brain of the war party. The prow and stern were crowned with towering, sculpted figures of clan crests, raven, eagle, or bear, carved from the same cedar. These were vital visual identifiers and spiritual guardians, projecting the clan's identity and invoking protection as the warriors launched into the sea. The Tlingit warrior was encased in a composite armor system that functioned as a mobile fortress, a unique adaptation to the demands of close-quarters combat in the Pacific Northwest. The centerpiece of this defense was the heavy slat cuirass and hardened hide tunic. Crafted from vertical rods of dense Pacific yew or maple twined with sinew, this body armor was engineered to cover the warrior from the neck to the mid-thigh. The layering of these wooden slats over a thick undertunic of cured walrus or elk hide provided exceptional resistance against arrows and bone-breaking strikes while maintaining the rigidity needed for brutal melee. The hide surface was often reinforced with a coating of sand and pitch or studded with trade coins, creating a textured barrier that could snag and deflect the blades of enemy daggers. Walrus hide was the secret material for Tlingit armor that pushed it into the mobile fortress status. While elk or moose hide were more common for inland groups, the Tlingit, being a coastal people with extensive trade networks, highly valued walrus hide for its incredible defensive properties. The bulletproof effect. Walrus skin is exceptionally thick, reaching between 2 centimeters to 4 centimeters in some areas. When dried and hardened, it becomes a rigid, dense slab of collagen that is notoriously difficult to puncture with a blade or an arrow. The underarmor. Tlingit warriors often wore a walrus hide tunic as a base layer. This was worn underneath the wooden slat breastplate. This layered system is what earned them the mobile fortress reputation, as it provided protection that was nearly impossible for traditional weapons to penetrate. Trade and prestige. Because walrus were more common in the Arctic regions to the north, the Tlingit often acquired these hides through trade with the Alutiiq or Inupiat. Owning a suit of walrus hide armor was a sign of a wealthy and well-connected warrior. In the late 18th century, the Tlingit adapted this hide armor even further. You will often see museum examples of walrus hide tunics reinforced with Chinese coins, obtained via trade with Russian and British fur traders. The coins were sewn onto the hide in an overlapping scale pattern, essentially creating a form of brigandine armor that offered additional protection against the early firearms and buckshot introduced by Europeans. Complementing the shield was the distinctive wooden helmet, a sculpted masterpiece carved from the same resilient cedar. This piece often featured an articulated crest, such as a bear's head, raven's beak, or wolf's snout, that could be moved by the warrior during combat. This living element allowed the warrior to animate the intricately carved helmet head, making the armor appear to breathe or shift, a psychological tactic designed to intimidate opponents and invoke the spiritual power of the clan's guardian. The interior was lined with soft materials for insulation and comfort, ensuring the warrior could endure the rigors of battle without sacrificing mobility. This armor system proved its mettle against local attackers armed with bows, clubs, and spears, but more importantly, in the face of European expansion. When Russian forces invaded Alaska in the late 18th and early 19th centuries, the Tlingit wooden armor demonstrated remarkable efficacy against early musket fire. The dense, laminated cedar, often backed by thick leather or hide, was capable of deflecting or significantly reducing the impact of Russian musket balls at medium ranges, particularly when the projectiles struck at an angle or were slowed by the shield's curvature. Historical accounts from the Siege of Sitka in 1804 and subsequent conflicts suggest that Tlingit warriors, protected by this wooden fortress, could withstand volleys that would have been fatal to unarmored infantry, allowing them to close the distance and engage in the hand-to-hand combat, where their superior agility and weaponry gave them the advantage. The armor thus served a dual purpose. It was a physical barrier against both indigenous and colonial weaponry, and a psychological anchor that projected the unyielding strength of the Tlingit clans. In the Tlingit world, the totem pole, known as kootéeyaa, stands as a living archive and a sophisticated form of visual mythology and tradition. These towering structures function as the stone tablets of the coast, encoding the genealogy, history, and legal rights of the clan in a vertical narrative. Carved from massive western red cedar, each figure on the pole represents a specific ancestor, a mythic event, or a significant historical occurrence, such as a war victory or a treaty. The arrangement of these figures follows a strict narrative logic, often reading from the bottom up or top down, allowing the community to read the pole as one would a text. This visual language was essential for Tlingit society, where the ability to identify crests and understand the sequence of events was a key marker of cultural competence and social standing. The placement of these poles was strategic, anchoring the clan's identity to the land. House posts stood at the entrance of the longhouse, declaring the family's lineage and their ancestral right to the territory. Mortuary poles served as sacred memorials for fallen chiefs, holding their remains in carved boxes to keep the ancestors physically present among the living. Finally, history poles acted as the village's public record, proclaiming the great deeds and stories of the clan for all to see. The raising of a new pole was always tied to the potlatch, a grand ceremony where history was validated, gifts were shared, and the collective memory was passed to the next generation. Tlingit society is anchored by the moiety system, which divides the population into two halves, the raven, or Yeik, and the wolf, also known as the eagle. This matrilineal structure dictates that children inherit the moiety of their mother, while the father always hails from the opposite side. Moieties consist of specific clans. For example, the beaver and salmon align with the raven, while the wolf, bear, and killer whale anchor the eagle side. The Aankau, or house chiefs, held the exclusive rights to clan names and crests. The slaves, most commonly war captives from neighboring Haida, Tsimshian, and Athabascan peoples, formed a vital class that maintained the clan's economic power and the chief's social status. A slave's life was not always a dead end. On occasion, they could be integrated into the clan through adoption or marriage, though the stigma of their origin often remained. In a supreme display of prestige during a potlatch, a chief might even set a slave free, a grand gesture intended to signal that he was so wealthy and powerful that he could afford to release his most valuable property into the world. Worth mentioning is the smoke hole, or cattle, one of the most symbolically loaded parts of Tlingit architecture. It is not just a chimney. In a traditional clan house, it is the physical and spiritual portal between the human world and the spirit world. When Raven flies out through it, he is not just escaping a building. He is crossing a threshold from the inside, the social protected world of the clan, to the outside, the raw, untamed cosmos. The Tlingit and their neighbors, the Haida, share a very close connection in cosmology. Many of these details apply to both, but I have focused as much as possible on Tlingit-specific sources from the works of Boas, Swanton, and de Laguna. For Tlingit, the world is a vertical architecture, a towering living column where three worlds stack upon one another in a constant flux. At the very top, high above the highest peaks, sits the sky world, a realm of brilliant clarity where the sun and moon live as sentient sky beings who walk the heavens alongside other powerful sky spirits. This is the source of all light and the final home for our ancestors. Connecting this celestial height to the depths below is our own human world, a vibrant, narrow band where the energies of the sky and the earth collide. Here, we do not just live on the land, we live with it, sharing a kinship with every animal, plant, and spirit, bound together by rituals that keep the balance of life intact. Beneath our feet and the ocean floor lies the Underworld, a realm of deep fertility and ancient wisdom. It is the root system of the cosmos, where the spirits of the earth and sea dwell, providing the foundational stability that holds everything above. This entire structure emerged from a primordial darkness shaped by the dynamic work of Raven. While a supreme, remote creator established the cosmic order, it was Raven, the great trickster and architect, who actively built our physical reality. In the great creation story, Raven reached into the depths, scooping up mud and sediment with a magical shell to lift the ocean floor, forming our continents and mountains. He then unwrapped the first people from shells and eggs, revealing them as already formed kin within this new world. High above the tree line and the highest mountains lies the Sky Realm. This is a domain of brilliant clarity and eternal order, distinct from the world below. The atmosphere here is thin and luminous, filled with the soft, golden radiance of the sun and the cool, silver glow of the moon. These are not distant, silent orbs, but active, sentient spirits who dwell within this expanse. The sun traverses the sky as a great radiant figure, casting long, warm shadows that reach down to the human world, while the moon governs the cycles of the night, his light filtering through a canopy of stars. The ground of this celestial realm is a vast, luminous plain composed of a substance resembling polished, iridescent stone or solidified light. This radiant floor reflects the brilliance of the sun and stars, creating an environment where shadows are soft and colors possess a vivid living intensity. Within this realm reside the Sky People, a race of spirit beings who maintain the order of the heavens. They dwell in magnificent structures that mirror the grandeur of traditional clan houses. Yet these dwellings are constructed entirely of light and celestial matter. Their roofs shimmer with the shifting colors of the aurora, and their translucent walls allow starlight to permeate the interiors, bathing the inhabitants in a constant ethereal glow. At the heart of the Sky Realm stands the Great Chief, the Master of the Sky. He resides in a grand house of light and crystal, a structure of immense power that serves as the central seat of authority. This house is built of translucent crystal that refracts the light of the sun into a spectrum of colors, illuminating the entire realm. It was here, within this crystal palace, that the Great Chief originally held the sun, the moon, and the fire as his most precious possessions before the Raven journeyed to retrieve them for the world below. The Sky Realm is also the dwelling place of the ancestors, whose spirits ascend to this realm after their time in the human world. They move through the luminous plains, their presence adding a layer of profound stillness to the atmosphere. The winds that sweep through the heights carry the voices of these ancestors and the songs of the birds who serve as messengers between the worlds. Great eagles with feathers shimmering in the colors of the dawn soar effortlessly through these heights, acting as the primary link between the Sky Realm and the earth below. This world is connected to the human world by a sacred conduit, often depicted as a world tree or a great rainbow bridge. This pathway allows for the movement of souls and the transmission of spiritual power, ensuring that the order and light of the sky realm continuously sustain the life of the world below. The raven, acting as the central transformer and mediator, resides within this realm and frequently traverses its expanse, serving as the creator who bridges the divine order of the sky realm with the world below. Beneath the soaring heights of the sky, the human world exists as the vital axis of the cosmos. This is the realm of the temperate rainforest, where massive Sitka spruces and western hemlocks rise like pillars to touch the lower edges of the sky. Here, the land is a tapestry of green and brown, woven with rivers that wind like silver threads through the valleys and forests teeming with life. It is a world of tangible sensation, where the scent of damp earth, the sound of rushing water, and the rustle of leaves create a constant, living backdrop. In this realm, humans, animals, and plants share a common space bound by a deep reciprocal kinship. The forests are not merely resources, but communities, where the bear, the wolf, and the salmon move with the same purpose and dignity as the people. This middle realm is the stage for ritual and story, where the actions of the people echo upward to the sky and downward to the earth, maintaining the delicate balance that sustains the entire vertical structure. Beneath the soil and the ocean floor, the spirit realms extend into a dimension of profound depth and ancestral power. This is a world of cool, shadowed waters and rich, dark earth, where the foundations of the mountains are intertwined with the spirit houses of the animal nations. The light here is soft and diffuse, often shrouded in a sacred mist that filters down to illuminate the submerged forests and the villages where the spirits of the sea and the earth dwell. Stepping into the depths, one is enveloped by the fresh, rich fragrance of the earth and tree roots, mingled with the bracing, calming aroma of the cold ocean waters, a scent that surrounds and steadies the traveler. The Lingít Aaní water people live in villages that mirror those on land. To a human eye, their homes might look like hollowed stones or underwater reefs, but in reality, they are grand cedar longhouses. Inside, the salmon and sea beings remove their skins and walk as humans. They gather around central fires, where the space is warm, still, and sheltered from the heavy currents of the deep. Lingít Aaní is the country of the water people. To them, the ocean is not a void, but a landscape of villages and clan houses. These beings move between the deep and the shore, putting on their fins or furs like blankets to travel, and removing them to live as humans behind their firesides. They are the providers of the world. They offer themselves as food to the humans above, but only if their bones and souls are shown proper respect and returned to the water. This ensures they can return home, put on their skins once more, and come back to the human world in the next season. The Tlingit are a maritime people, and the Underworld, the realm beneath the visible surface, is primarily the domain of the salmon people and the sea people. In many myths, the world beneath the lakes is the sovereign domain of the beaver people, where shamans find grand houses submerged in the silt. Meanwhile, the realm of the land otter people, Kushtaka inhabits the liminal space between land and sea, a dark, sideways version of the human world that exists to claim the souls of the lost. There are many Raven stories and versions, so I have assembled one that fits this particular video with the notion that the Raven figure deserves its own detailed video in the future. Take this as a shortened and one of many versions of the story. Before the dawn existed, the world was a suffocating void, a vast ocean of absolute darkness where the land lay submerged and the sky was choked by an impenetrable night. Above this abyss, the sky people dwelt in a realm of brilliance, hoarding the sun, the moon, and the stars within a series of sealed boxes. They guarded these luminous treasures jealously, keeping the light for themselves while the world below remained in an eternal, silent slumber. At the apex of this celestial domain resided a wealthy and powerful sky chief, the master of the headwaters. He sat as the ultimate authority over the heavens, jealously guarding the physical treasures of light and the primal spark of fire within his great house. Raven, Yeik, the great shapeshifter and trickster, lived in the shadow of the lower darkness, driven by a fierce desire to liberate the trapped light. He did not storm the celestial palace with a warrior's cry. Instead, he utilized the master deception of a shapeshifter. Ascending to the sky world, Raven transformed himself into a single hemlock needle, drifting silently into the water bucket of the Sky Chief's daughter. When she drank, he was swallowed, and through this divine infiltration, he was born into the household as a human child. By the law of the people, Raven was now a legitimate member of the clan he intended to rob, the grandson of the very chief who hoarded the world's dawn. As a favored grandchild, Raven played his part perfectly, eventually throwing a series of strategic tantrums to gain access to the sacred bentwood boxes stored in the corners of the house. One by one, he was given the boxes to quiet his cries. He first released the stars, then the moon, letting them scatter across the sky to establish the cycles of the night. Finally, seizing the box containing the sun, Raven surged back into his majestic avian form. His final heist was the fire itself. Waiting until the household slept, Raven seized a burning brand from the central hearth in his beak. He took flight, banking toward the smoke hole, kootéeyaa, at the center of the roof. As he squeezed through the narrow opening, the rising soot and heat of the stolen embers stained his once white feathers a permanent iridescent black. Emerging into the void, Raven shattered the final box, releasing the sun to flood the world with light for the first time. With the fire gripped firmly in his beak, he brought the spark of life to the cold land below, forever bridging the gap between the brilliance of the sky people and the people of the tides emerging from the shoreline. The Tlingit world is ruled by Yeik, spirits, and the boundary between the physical and the spiritual is always fluid. Countless Yeik inhabit every element of nature, from the towering Sitka spruce and the rushing rivers to the winds and the stones. These spirits are active participants in the daily life of the people, possessing their own consciousness, agency, and relationships with the clans. The Tlingit maintain a reciprocal bond with the Yeik, acknowledging that the health of the community is linked to the respect and balance maintained with these invisible forces that permeate the land, sea, and sky. Every person is associated with a personal guardian spirit, a protective entity that accompanies them from birth. Through shamanic practices, individuals could further acquire spirit helpers, often gained through rigorous vision quests involving fasting and isolation. This spiritual ecology is mediated by the shaman Ksht, a specialized figure who serves as the bridge between the human community and the spirit world. The shaman's role is not static. It involves the active accumulation of spirit helpers, often represented by animal parts or sacred objects, which are utilized for healing, weather control, and ensuring the success of hunting and warfare. The Tlingit conception of the afterlife is deeply connected with reincarnation. Upon death, the soul does not simply vanish, but embarks on a journey to specific spirit dwellings. Scholars distinguish between different classes of spirits based on the nature of their death and their social standing. The upper spirits are associated with the north and are often linked to brave warriors and those who died with honor. Other classes of spirits are associated with those who died natural deaths, each possessing their own distinct dwellings within the spirit world. The destination of the soul is not permanent in a static sense. Tlingit belief holds that after a period in the afterlife, souls undergo reincarnation. This cycle is tied to the matrilineal clan system. A soul is believed to be reborn into a maternal relative, thereby reinforcing the continuity of the clan and the ethical responsibilities of kinship. This belief system integrates ethics directly into the social fabric, where the actions of the living impact the journey of the ancestors and the future of the clan. In Tlingit cosmology, the ancestral spirits are not passive memories but active, living participants in the world of the living. As the spiritual descendants of clan founders and great heroes, they inhabit a world of the ancestors, a dimension that intersects with the physical realm, particularly during ceremonies and at sacred sites. These spirits serve as the guardians of the clan's identity, history, and traditions, providing continuous guidance, protection, and wisdom to the living members. The primary mechanism for invoking these spirits is the potlatch, a grand ceremony where living clan members recount the deeds of their ancestors, perform sacred dances, and distribute gifts. This act of remembrance and exchange renews the spiritual bond between the living and the dead, allowing the ancestral spirits to physically manifest within the clan gatherings. Beyond the central figures of the Creator and Raven, the Tlingit landscape is populated by a diverse cast of powerful beings and regional monsters. These entities often serve as guardians, challengers, or explanations for natural phenomena. The Thunderbird. A gigantic avian being of the north, the Thunderbird is a master of the sky. Its wings create the sound of thunder, and its eyes flash with lightning. In Tlingit lore, this being possesses immense strength, capable of seizing and swallowing a whale. It is often depicted as having a sister who guards a cosmic pillar in the northwest, a motif that underscores the structural stability of the world. Residing beneath the earth, the underground woman guards the cosmic pillar that supports the world. Her presence ties the themes of the underworld and the earth's foundation into the broader cosmology, representing the stability that lies beneath the visible surface. The Gona Cadet, or sea wolf, is an important entity of Tlingit lore. In many versions, the spirit is actually a young man who uses a magical sea monster skin to transform and hunt. During times of famine, he secretly hauls massive amounts of salmon, seals, and even whales to the village shoreline under the cover of night to keep his people from starving. Beyond providing food, the sea wolf is a harbinger of wealth. Catching a glimpse of the creature or hearing its soulful howl is said to bring a lifetime of good fortune. The story of cats, bear-human hybrids. The story of cats describes the half-bear, half-human offspring resulting from the union of a hunter and a shape-shifting grizzly bear. These narratives are defined by their tragic conclusion, where the offspring eventually kill their human father after a breach of taboo. In many versions, the eternal grief of the bear mother is said to cause the persistent rain of the Alaska Panhandle. The Kushtaka, or otter people, are shape-shifting beings that inhabit the coastal and forest boundaries. The Kushtaka are known for luring humans away from the shore or into the deep forest. In some narratives, these beings can transform humans into Kushtaka or claim them, serving as an explanation for disappearances at sea or in the woods. Their upper torsos mirror the human frame, featuring broad chests, dexterous hands, and faces framed by dense iridescent fur that shimmers from chestnut to silver gray. From the waist down, they possess the streamlined, muscular hindquarters of a sea otter, equipped with a broad, flattened tail for propulsion and webbed limbs, adapted for both rapid swimming and traversing rocky shorelines. Fully amphibious, they breathe air yet possess specialized adaptations for extended submersion. Their large, dark eyes and acute hearing allowing them to navigate the low light depths and detect vibrations across vast underwater distances. Beyond the Kushtaka, the Tlingit landscape teems with a diverse array of supernatural entities that inhabit the liminal spaces of the forest, mountains, coast, and deep sea. These beings range from benevolent guardians to formidable monsters, each playing a critical role in the balance of the world. The cannibals. The cannibals, or man-eaters, are a race of giant humanoid beings who dwell in the remote, mountainous interiors and the dense, ancient forests. Towering figures that often exceed the height of 2 humans, they possess rough, textured skin resembling bark or stone, and faces that are broad and expressive with piercing eyes that convey a mix of wisdom and ferocity. While known for their consumption of human flesh, they are viewed not merely as predators, but as necessary forces of balance. They consume those who have strayed from the path or lost their connection to the community, acting as guardians of the deep forest who protect sacred groves from encroachment. Encounters with these giants are significant events, often challenging travelers to tests of courage and wisdom, and in some traditions, they are recognized as the ancestors of certain human clans, bridging the lineage between the human and the monstrous. The Ogres, giant earth spirits. The Ogres are massive, earthbound spirits intimately associated with the mountains, caves, and rugged terrain of the interior. Their colossal bodies appear formed from the very rock and soil of the land, with thick, muscular limbs and a broad, imposing presence. Covered in moss, lichen, and small plants, they possess the appearance of living landscapes. Generally solitary and contemplative, ogres reside in high mountain peaks or deep caverns, moving with slow, deliberate grace. Their profound, resonant voices echo through the valleys, and they serve as the guardians of the Earth's stability. Believed to influence the weather, the growth of forests, and the stability of the mountains, they are invoked in rituals seeking protection from natural disasters and the blessing of the land. The lesser spirits of the sea and earth. The world is further animated by a host of lesser spirits that govern the specific rhythms of the environment. In the water, the salmon people appear as luminous, silver beings that guide the annual runs, while whale spirits, massive and gentle, dwell in the deep ocean to oversee the tides and marine health. Tide spirits, smaller and agile, control the ebb and flow of the coastal zones. On land, forest spirits inhabit the trees and undergrowth, including specific guardians of the Sitka spruce and western hemlock alongside the small creatures of the forest floor. Mountain spirits reside in the peaks and ridges, overseeing weather patterns and glacial flows, while river spirits govern the streams, ensuring the purity of the water and the abundance of aquatic life. Together, these entities maintain the intricate web of life that sustains the Tlingit world. The monstrous adversaries. The landscape also hosts formidable adversaries that embody the raw power and mystery of the natural world. In the deep ocean, creatures such as the great whale shark and the giant octopus exist as awe-inspiring forces, possessing immense power and guarding the secrets of the deep. In the interior forests, large, multi-limbed forest giants navigate the dense canopy and floor, serving as protectors of the forest's sanctity. Additionally, in the twilight zones between the human and spirit realms, shadow beings emerge as shapeshifters capable of taking various forms. These entities interact with humans to test their resolve, embodying the unknown and ensuring that the boundary between the seen and unseen remains vibrant and dynamic. In Tlingit cosmology, the bear, wolf, eagle, and whale stand as distinct sovereign lineages, each possessing its own spiritual hierarchy, clan connections, and mythic history. The bear spirit embodies strength, healing, and introspection, serving as a guardian of the forest and a mediator between the human world and the deep woods. The wolf spirit represents loyalty, intelligence, and the social structure of the pack, guiding hunters and ensuring the harmony of the social order through its emphasis on cooperation. Soaring above, the eagle spirit symbolizes vision, sovereignty, and the connection to the upper world, acting as a noble messenger that transmits sacred messages between the sky realm and the human community. Its piercing gaze is said to see the truth of all things, making it the patron of chiefs and leaders who must navigate the complex currents of diplomacy and governance. Deep in the ocean, the whale spirit represents immense power, wisdom, and the depth of the collective memory. As the largest of the marine beings, the whale is viewed as a living vessel of the world's history, its songs echoing the ancient laws of the sea. It is the guardian of the deep currents and the provider of abundance, ensuring the balance of the marine ecosystems that sustain the Tlingit people. From the wooden fortress of their cedar armor that withstood the musket fire of 1804 to the towering totem poles that serve as the stone tablets of their history, the Tlingit have woven a culture of profound resilience and spirituality. The young Russian soldier who first encountered the Tlingit warrior in the mist of that cold April spring witnessed more than a military engagement. He stepped into a world where the boundary between the human and the divine is porous. The warrior, clad in cedar and walrus hide, studded with copper coins that glistened like distant sparks, was a manifestation of a culture that viewed the forest, the sea, and the sky as a single, interconnected family. In the Tlingit worldview, the past is not a distant memory, but a present force. The ancestors walk alongside the living, the spirits of the raven and the thunderbird guide the winds, and the totem poles stand as silent sentinels of a lineage that stretches back to the dawn of time.